Hello to all my beautiful subscribers. I apologize for the long hiatus, but we are back. Today we are going to be talking about the movie that is on everybody's mind in this summer of 2023, competing with Barbie for the title of Summer Blockbuster. This is Oppenheimer from director Christopher Nolan. I'm just here to share my thoughts on the movie and at the end to give my overall opinion. I'm going to talk about acting, I'm going to talk about the visuals and the sound, I'm going to talk about content and the structure of the film, the writing, and then an overall conclusion on the film and maybe a score at the end. I know y'all love that. So yeah, don't want to waste too much time in the intro. I'm just going to get into it. This is the Oppenheimer review. Starting out with the acting of the film. So, first off, one of the best parts of this movie to me was Cillian Murphy. I guess you could say I'm a fan. It looks so stupid. So I already knew that he was going to kill it in this role. Cillian Murphy to me is one of the best contemporary actors that we have currently working on American films. Sure, a lot of his performance was just doing this into the camera the whole time. Yet he did stand out in this role, and I think he did an excellent job, just like I knew he would. However, the rest of the main cast was fairly standard, just kind of run-of-the-mill Hollywood performances that are kind of just doing their job, you know what I mean? These people like Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Matt Damon that are just kind of in there just to add like star power to the movie, it feels like they're just doing like a baseline job just to show their face, basically. And that kind of pisses me off, but, I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. He's going to throw the whole fucking budget of the United States onto the fucking movie, so you know how that goes. And another thing that was kind of weird was literally, like, everybody is in this movie. Like, the most random people you could imagine. You're watching, and then someone like Josh Peck or Devin Bostick, the guy from Roderick from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, or Casey Affleck was another one. Benny Safdie. They come on screen, and it feels like I'm watching a Marvel movie where some stupid character comes on screen and everybody just goes, "Oh my god!" But like obviously the theater is not as hype, but it feels like they're trying to do some sort of reveal. Like it just it's weird to me.
This young guy trying to make a name for himself didn't like what you. It's Oppenheimer. What's his name? Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. Oh,
At one point, I swear to God, I was ready for Timothée Chalamet to start coming out and being like, "Let's make this bomb, guys." Like, it was so... There were so many just random actors in this that it was just so strange. But, I mean, all power to them. Big jobs for them, obviously, so I'm sure they're very happy with it. So, visuals and sound. I don't have too much to say about this. It was a fairly standard shot film, besides the one scene that I'm sure everybody knows that I'm talking about, is the bomb drop sequence. This was the climax and the pinnacle of this movie's spectacle, as you could say. And I really like how Christopher Nolan actually did this scene. That's because it hypes it up so much during the entire film. It's about 2 hours before the bomb drops. And the hype is at an absolute fever pitch. And then when he drops it, he kind of slows it down. He cuts the sound completely, and it's just the silence of the bomb dropping, exploding in this almost beautiful cloud, right? And the reason I like this is because I'm sure that Christopher Nolan knew that people would want, are excited to see the bomb drop. And I'm sure he also knew that maybe it's not the best idea or the best message to make the bomb be some sort of like action moment where you're like excited about it. You know, he slows it down, and it's kind of a disappointment, like an intentional disappointment towards the audience, to remind them that it's not it's not cool, you know? It's not cool. It's a fucking atomic bomb. So yeah, I really thought that scene was very good, and the tension building up to it was fantastic as well. The sequences of all this fire and smoke and particles flying through the air in these like slow motion portions of the movie, like at the beginning and in that bomb drop sequence, were very beautiful in a in a frightening way. It reminded me of Terrence Malick's Tree of Life, one of my favorite movies from the 2010s, in which there are these sequences of stars and like supernovas and, you know, spatial shots, which are intercut with the story. And in a way, they very much reminded me of each other in that it kind of brings you out of it, and that it's kind of bigger than humanity in a way. And then as for the sound, yeah, sound design was great. It was just as loud as I thought it needed to be. A lot of people commented that it was just like blowing their eardrums, but how could it be any other way? You know, I about a bomb dropping, I think it needs to be like ear-shattering loud to just feel that magnitude. And I watched this on a normal cinema, but I bet in IMAX it just would have been crazy. The visuals paired with that incredible sound would just be insane. Now, as for the content and the structure, one thing I did like was how frightening it was in its implications. The little quote about Prometheus giving man fire and being condemned for life was a great way to hit it up, to start off the film with a little bit of that ethos that Christopher Nolan is trying to convey. And then that paired with the ending, with that little conversation where they reveal what they were talking about in secret with Oppenheimer and Einstein, it leaves you with kind of that sinking feeling of dread, a little bit of an anxiety almost. Not only does it force the audience to look inward at their own beliefs and thoughts about the morality of this bomb, but to look outward at the world that they are presented with and they are forced to live in, where at any moment these bombs could basically destroy the entire existence of humanity. And it's a tough thing to digest, but I think that was done very well. And then one of the things that I was kind of meh on was how they handled the aftermath of these explosions. Now, I know that it's really focusing on Oppenheimer's life. This is a biopic through and through, but I think they could have gone harder on the audience in terms of the devastation and mass death that occurred from this bomb. It feels like Christopher Nolan almost went easy on us. That one scene that comes to mind was the press conference when he's talking and he's kind of shaken from the explosion, but he sees a woman and he has this vision of her kind of disintegrating, or, you know, like mimicking like radiation poisoning. And in that moment, I felt like it would be perfect to kind of interlace with real footage, honestly. And I'm not like that guy who's just like, I want gore. Like, if we really want to bring the hammer down on the audience and nail this point home that these are horrible, horrible devices, then shouldn't we show what it can really do? And I mean, there's countless films that do this already, so I understand. But in the same way, I feel like they should have showcased the victims a little bit more. And then some things I didn't like about the structure of this movie. First off, a lot of people talk about the last hour and how boring it is. And I mean, I don't really necessarily think that it was boring. I didn't mind it. I watch a lot of slow movies, so I'm kind of used to that type of thing. But I do understand where people are coming from here. It isn't, it's just a straight hour of essentially interview questions. Couldn't we have shaken it up a little bit or said these things in a more interesting way? I just, it really slows down the movie, especially after the climax of the bomb dropping, in a way that really was not pleasant. Another thing that I thought was so dumb was, like, I did not care one bit about this man's love life. I think, honestly, they should have just skipped over it entirely or making it actually good. Because as it stands, the women in Oppenheimer's life were literally just there to get fucked. I mean, it's quite typical of, a Hollywood movie, but I mean, I think it definitely could have been handled much better. Like, we all know Florence Pugh is hot, but that doesn't mean you're like contractually obligated to put her in a sex scene. You know what I mean? And I know it's like probably a producer thing where I like these motherfuckers are so horny, and I know that. Like, I swear these dudes will watch the tape and they're just watching it, and then they turn to the director and they're like, "Yeah, that was pretty good, man, but not enough tits. We need more. We need more tits." Like, bro, it's become such a trope to have like a sex scene in every movie that directors just feel like a robot every time they're making a movie where they're just like, okay, sex scene, check, okay, got off the list, great. Like, it's so, it's just such a thing that people expect. Like, we'll still watch the movie. Like, who is going into a movie being like, there better be a sex scene, there better be a topless scene? Like, it's so crazy to me, but whatever. Yeah, the women, they needed better roles, better writing. Terrible. And then for the writing, this to me is the most egregious part of this movie. It was absolutely horrendous. The script was a joke. It felt like every line they were trying to go for some stupid quippy one-liner. They were taking a page from Marvel's playbook. I absolutely cringed when Matt Damon would turn around and say some stupid shit like, trying to blow up the world, Oppie. Like, shut up, man. And that thing when Oppenheimer was on the phone with his wife, and he does this callback where he's like, "Don't bring in the laundry, love." Nobody cares. What are you talking about? Like, it's so stupid. They're all talking like they're trying to have a memorable quote. It's ridiculous. Like, just speak normal. And then another thing, going into this movie, one of the big questions was how they were going to handle the famous quote, "The Destroyer of Worlds," because I knew it was going to be in the movie. It had to be, right? And I think for one, it was a little bit cringe, where he's just fucking on the bed and he's reading the quote off, like, while he's fucking. Like, it's so stupid. And then he calls back to it later. Like, why didn't you just say it once during the bomb? Do you think that not everybody knows that? Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't have to be like he's remembering fucking his old girlfriend and, oh, now I'm become death, the destroyer of worlds. Nolan thinks the audience are literal fucking drone dumb pieces of shit. Like, it's so stupid. What I really wanted to see, honestly, I wanted them to give Cillian Murphy the chance to kind of reenact that whole press conference, honestly, the whole sequence. Um, I mean, I think it could have gone bad, but I also think it could have gone great. The way that they did it, it felt like they were trying to play it safe because, you know, it can be. I know that he knew the risk of it sounding really cheesy when he says the line because he has to say the line. Everybody knows he's going to say the line. It's really up to Cillian Murphy how it goes. He said it cool, but did they really have to do this whole thing where he says it in the past and then he brings it back up? It's like, come on, dude. So yeah, the script was just a travesty, atrocity. The script may have been a bigger war crime than the fucking movie. Anyways, those are pretty much my thoughts on the movie. And while I didn't expect much from Christopher Nolan in the way of, you know, unique filmmaking, it was at least decent and had some very compelling moments. And it's certainly better than his last movie, Tenet. Yikes. But yeah, a very safe, very basic biopic with the added draw of the big explodey. But what are my overall thoughts on this movie? Well, it wasn't a total floppenheimer. Let's just say the cinematic landscape is a barren desert wasteland. And Oppenheimer may not be an oasis, but let's call it a leaf. Okay? It's something that you pick up, you look at, see that little bit of green on it, and then throw it away. Because it doesn't really hold that much value. So yeah, Oppenheimer. I'm going to give it a strong 4. Thanks for watching.